I remember the exact moment my chest tightened, as if the air in that quiet cafe had suddenly turned heavy. It wasn't just that I had been waiting for over an hour. It was the sinking realization that I had been forgotten, or worse, never meant to be remembered at all. The message still sat open on my phone.
This is SK Stories, where every story reminds us that kindness, empathy, and second chances can appear in the most unexpected moments. If you enjoy stories that inspire the heart, press, like, share this video with someone special, leave your thoughts in the comments, and subscribe to SK Stories for more powerful stories.
My colleague insisted she had the perfect match. For me, or maybe it was the quiet loneliness that had been creeping into my life for months. Either way, I agreed. The cafe was warm and softly lit, filled with the gentle clinking of cups and low murmurs of conversation. Couples leaned toward each other, laughing quietly, while friends shared stories over steaming mugs. And there I sat, alone at a small round table, a cup of coffee long gone cold in front of me. At first, I kept checking the door every few seconds, expecting her to walk in with a quick apology and a shy smile. Then minutes turned into half an hour stretched into an hour. And with every passing second, the optimism I had walked in with slowly dissolved into embarrassment. I could feel it, the subtle glances from people around me, the silent judgment, the unspoken assumption that I had been stood up. But what hurt the most wasn't what others might have been thinking. It was the quiet voice inside my head asking why I wasn't enough for someone to even show up. I leaned back in my chair, exhaling slowly, trying to gather whatever dignity I had left. I told myself I'd leave after 5 more minutes. Just 5. That's when I felt it. Not a sound, not a movement. Just a strange, undeniable feeling that someone was watching me. At first, I ignored it. It seemed ridiculous. But the feeling didn't go away. It lingered, steady and persistent, like a presence just out of sight. I glanced around casually, pretending to stretch my neck. That's when I saw her. She was sitting 2 tables away, alone, her posture composed yet slightly tense. She wasn't scrolling through her phone or sipping her drink like everyone else. She was watching me, not in a curious or judgmental way. There was something deeper in her gaze, something almost concerned. I quickly looked away, unsure of what to make of it. Maybe I was imagining things. Maybe she just happened to glance in my direction. But when I looked again, she was still there. Her name, I would later learn, was Elira Cade. At that moment, though, she was just a stranger who seemed oddly invested in my quiet humiliation. I felt a flicker of irritation. Being stood up was bad enough, but now I had an audience. I grabbed my phone, pretending to check messages, hoping she would lose interest. But minutes passed, and the feeling didn't fade. Strangely, it wasn't uncomfortable in the way I expected. It wasn't mocking or intrusive. If anything, it felt gentle, like she understood something about me that no one else in that room did. I finally stood up, deciding I had waited long enough. I reached for my wallet, ready to pay and leave this entire experience behind. But before I could take a step, something unexpected happened. She stood up too. For a brief second, our eyes met again, and this time, there was no doubt she had been watching me the whole time. My heart skipped, caught between confusion and curiosity. She walked toward me, her movements calm but deliberate. I wasn't sure what to do, so I just stood there, frozen in place. When she stopped at my table, there was a moment of silence that felt heavier than any conversation. Her expression softened slightly, as if she had been debating whether to say something for a long time. Then, quietly, she spoke. Not in dialogue, not in words I could immediately respond to, but in a presence that felt like it carried meaning beyond language. It was in the way she looked at me, not with pity, but with recognition, as if she had been exactly where I was before. That silent understanding hit me harder than the rejection ever could. I sank back into my chair, unsure why I didn't just leave. Maybe it was because, for the first time that evening, I didn't feel invisible. Time seemed to slow as we sat there, 2 strangers bound by something neither of us fully understood. The cafe noise faded into the background. The laughter, the clinking cups, the distant chatter, it all became irrelevant. What mattered was the unspoken connection forming in that quiet moment. She finally sat down across from me, not asking for permission, but not needing it either. There was something about her presence that felt steady, grounded, like she had weathered storms I couldn't yet see. And somehow, without words, she made me feel less alone. Minutes turned into something softer, something less defined. The tension in my chest eased, replaced by a strange sense of calm. I realized something then. Maybe the blind date I had been waiting for wasn't the one who never showed up. Maybe it was the one who had been there all along. The thought felt absurd at first, but the longer I sat there, the more it made sense in a way logic couldn't explain. Life had a way of redirecting us when we least expected it. I had come here expecting one story, but something else entirely had begun to unfold. There was no dramatic moment, no sudden revelation, just a quiet shift, like the turning of a page you didn't know you were reading. And in that shift, I found something I didn't even realize I had been searching for. Not perfection, not certainty, just connection. As the evening moved forward, the weight of being stood up no longer felt like a failure. Instead, it felt like a doorway, one that had led me somewhere unexpected, somewhere real. Before that night, I thought rejection was the end of something. Now I understood. Sometimes it's the beginning. If this story touched your heart even a little, take a moment to like this video and share it with someone who might need to hear it today. And before you go, I have a special request. Tell me in the comments. Have you ever experienced a moment where something didn't go as planned, but led you to something better? Because sometimes, the people who don't show up make space for the ones who truly matter. That night, I walked into that cafe feeling alone, but I didn't walk out the same way, because someone had been watching me the whole time. And somehow, that changed everything.